Welcome to the Truly Julie podcast, where we aim to evolve, elevate, and enrich our lives. Episode 6. Okay, I think we're recording. Oh, look at this background. Okay. Ciao from Puglia, Italy. You guys, I'm having total pinch me moment. Here I am, Truly Julie, in front of a Truly farmhouse. This is where we're staying for the next 4 days. If you are unfamiliar with a Truly farmhouse, Trulli, not spelled as in yours truly, they are the adorable cone-shaped, like cone-roofed, white-walled dwelling that dates back to the 1300s. And if you've ever seen people, on Instagram after their visit to Puglia, it's usually like a clip of them frolicking through these Keebler elf-esque homes. So to be here and recording this podcast, it feels very, very magical. Okay, my nose is running. In this episode, we're going to discuss a somewhat controversial topic: traditional school versus the school of life. Okay, so we'll do a deep dive into that topic in just a sec. But first, we got to do a little catch up, right? Since our last podcast, we have been hopping around to 8 countries. I think that's right. Okay, so we started the Make Lemonade Out of Lemons Drake Chang Family World Tour in El Salvador. Then we went to Hawaii, the U.S., Japan, China, Budapest is Hungary, Prague, Czech Republic, Istanbul, Turkey, Albania, and as I sit here now, Italy. Okay, a big refresher for those who've never listened to this podcast. What am I doing? Where are we here? Okay, the big LA fires happened in January. 12,000 plus homes burned down all at once. We felt completely helpless because our school community, so many people lost their homes. So we just started scrambling our brain, and we realized the most helpful we can be is to provide housing, right? So we rented our guest home, to 2 families who lost their everything in the fires, and we decided to do this world tour. And what exactly is the point of this world tour? Is it to eat gelato every day? Is it to experience the superior toilets of Japan? Is it to get a bunch of cool stamps on your passport? Is it to flex on Instagram? No. Well, maybe the gelato and the toilet part is true, but all jokes aside, hubby and I decided that we need to remove the walls of a classroom for our kids to truly learn the life lessons that we wish we'd learned way sooner, right? Hubby and I truly believe the best way to teach life is to make the world your classroom. Because I'll be honest, I'm a little bit puzzled by how we continue to teach our kids, right? The world has drastically changed in the last 200 years. Heck, in the last year alone with all the AI stuff. And yet we have been teaching our kids pretty much the same way since the 1800s, right? Math, reading, writing, history, sometimes foreign language. And with the 200 plus years of knowledge, where are we? I mean, the world is kind of like a dumpster fire, right? Sure, we've made amazing advancements, but at the same time, we've destroyed our one home, our planet, pretty fast. In fact, the most meaningful film you're probably going to watch this year, if not in the next 10 years, is a short film that's 4 minutes called 3 Seconds. It's won all sorts of awards, including some Harvard Film Festival thing. And basically, it talks about how the world is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind, just 140,000 years old. And if you condense those 4.5 billion years into, let's say, 24 hours, mankind has pretty much destroyed Earth in 3 seconds. We've been around for 3 seconds, and look at the damage we've done, right? And so hubby and I are just kind of rethinking, how do we teach our kids for life? I'll put a link to that short film into comments, but for now I want to stay focused on how we're going to try to teach life lessons to ourselves and really to our kids on this world tour. Because let's be honest, the career for you to stay relevant or the career for your kids to thrive in may not even exist yet. But if you focus on being a life learner, staying curious, creative, agile, resilient, I don't know, I just feel like you're going to land on your feet. You're going to be like a cat, always landing on your feet. Okay, so we are about 6 months into our world tour. We've visited 8 countries so far. And the 3 greatest lessons we've learned from our Make Lemonade Out of Lemons world tour are, P.S., we've learned too many to count, but I'm just like narrowing it down to 3. Number 1, let's start with that. Budgeting. Budgeting of finances and budgeting of time. Let's start first with budgeting moolah. So Driggs had a very organic breakthrough in financial management during our 40-day stay in Hawaii. So every week he'd be like, I want to go out for shaved ice. I want to go out for ice cream rolls. I want to go out for this, that. And we basically said, if we went out for dinner every night, if we went out for a treat every day, we will be ending this world tour in a hot second because we will run out of money. So then he started asking like, well, how much money do we have for this world tour? My husband said, let's just go show him the Excel sheet. So we whip out the laptop. We walk through how we are budgeting like 2 dinners out a week in Hawaii, mostly because we'll be eating out every day for every meal when we're in Japan. So we just kind of walked him through what our budget is for food. And from that point on, he stopped asking to go for treats every day. In fact, he started planning. He's like, you know what, Daddy and I talked about it, and it makes sense for us to go out to dinner on Wednesday and a dinner on Sunday. And we go out for treats on a Tuesday night. We go out for ice cream on a Thursday night. And I just couldn't believe that we are having this peaceful experience with a 10-year-old. Like, I did not learn how to budget. Heck, so my husband might argue that I still don't know how to budget in my 40s because none of this was ever modeled for me. And financial management or budgeting is a little over our 6-year-old's head, but she's slowly starting to get like concepts that I did not understand until well into my 20s. She's understanding the difference in currency values through tooth fairy money. So she has lost 3 teeth during our tour, you know, everywhere from El Salvador to Hawaii to she lost a tooth here in Italy. And she's understanding that tooth fairy money is worth more in certain countries than others. You guys, she's 6. Pretty remarkable. Okay, and you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna loop in Truly Holmes into this topic of financial management. So the story goes, in the 1300s, the law was that if you have a roof over a building structure, you will be taxed. So the locals figured out a loophole system. Make a makeshift roof that is removable. So when the tax collectors come, boom, you remove the cone-shaped roof, and then you just tell them, oh, this is a silo for farming, and then you don't get taxed. So if that's not stick it to the man budgeting, I don't know what is. Okay, now let's move on from budgeting finances to budgeting time. Just this morning, my son's like, oh, what time is our flight to Portugal? We said 2 p.m. And then he said, oh, does the airport have a lounge? And we're like, yeah, it does. We're flying out of Bari. And then he says to us, I think we should leave at 8 a.m. That way we can get to Bari without having to rush. We have ample time to get gas, and then we can get to the lounge to just chill, eat, and download our shows onto our tablet so that we have something to watch on the plane. And I'm thinking, you are 10 years old, logistically planning this out so beautifully. I don't think I'm late to everything, so time management is like my Achilles heel, as they would say. And so I'm just astonished by his way of budgeting time. Also, I guess this combines budgeting of time and money. My son has fully learned how to operate the Tokyo subway system. He knows how much it costs to get somewhere, what time we need to catch the subway to get to point A, B, C. I could not figure out the Tokyo subway system if my life depended on it. Like, each line is operated by a different company, so it's not like you can get like you can use all day pass for all these different lines. No, it doesn't work that way. He's 10 years old. I guarantee if I left him somewhere in Tokyo, he could find his way back home taking the subway, given that we give him money for the train tickets. I couldn't do that. you would never see me again. And for me and Leif, the greatest lesson on this world tour has been budgeting choices. We've just kind of had this groundbreaking realization that every choice you make is either an investment or a divestment towards your future or your time. Is that choice going to give you more time in life? And if so, is it quality time? So we've had a front row seat to observing many of the cultures, right? So I'm thinking like, in Japan, so many people were just buried and attached to their electronic devices. And then you look at their rate of suicide, rate of anxiety, rate of depression. I mean, as efficient as Japan is at just about everything, they're not happy as a culture. I mean, it's 80,000 people simply go missing a year because they don't want to be connected. Like that's a concern, right? I don't think that's healthy because we are animals. We are meant to be relational and social. And then you look at cultures where smoking is still such a prevalent thing, right? The choice of smoking and what that means for your health. The choice of we have tons of friends who are in very similar financial and logistical scenario as us. And they say to us, God, we wish we could be doing what you guys are doing, taking your kids around the world and showing them what it really is all about and having all this together time. And reality is it's oh no, you could make that choice if you wanted. You are just choosing not to. It's interesting, right? Just realizing that life is budgeting these choices. Are you investing? Are you divesting towards your future? Just big things to think about. And since we're in Italy, we should talk about longevity of life. The choices of people eating fresh, the choices of people, it's embedded into their culture, right? Where they walk everywhere. Clearly, it's helping people live longer because we've seen people here that look mad old, mad old. And yet, I would rarely describe these people as athletic, agile, super fit. People are struggling to walk at times. And so I think about, okay, so you can eat fresh and you can walk a lot, but that's not enough as far as the quality of your physical life when you are in your 80s, when you're in your 90s, when you're 100. So what kind of choices can we make for our physical health now that's going to pay off when we're mad old? I kid you not, just looking at how people have aged throughout these different countries we visited have made me, start weight training. That was not a thing that I thought I needed to do, but I started that during this world tour. I do push-ups and lunges and squats wherever I can. Including in Albania, we went to a place called Latitude, which is a jungle gym trampoline park for kids. And right there, then I started doing pull-ups and started doing power squats. And so, it's just this whole tour has made me really think hard about the choices of what I'm eating and how much I'm moving my body to invest in my future. The second lesson that we want to talk about isn't really a learned lesson per se, but more like an observation in how people are governed. So one of our pit stops was Albania, a country that was isolated for 40 years. They had a ruthless dictator who didn't let people interact for many, many years. And that all came crumbling down with communism in 1991, which, in the history of the world, that wasn't very long ago. And communism, became a big topic for Driggs. He was like, what is that? So we went down the basics of communism versus capitalism. And I think he basically came to the conclusion that there is no perfect form of government because humans, while communism on paper seems very idealistic, and capitalism seems very idealistic as far as like creating incentives. Neither and everything in between are perfect because humans are too tempted by greed, fear, and power. So that's a unique and powerful observation that, we've had during this trip. And staying on the topic of how people are governed or encouraged or controlled, depending on who you ask, for our 6-year-old, that valuable lesson came in the form of burqas. So we were at a candy shop and she runs over to us and she's like, Mom and Dad, there are women ninjas. And it was just a group of women wearing burqas. And so we started the conversation about why women wear burqas. And you know what? We really don't know the clear answer. So we did our best. And I think it went along the lines of, in certain cultures, people believe that women are safer when they aren't seen, when they aren't judged by how they look. And she immediately did not miss a beat. She said, do they like it? Do women like wearing the burqas? Is it their choice? And we didn't answer that because I think we got distracted. But I like to think that's a very powerful moment in our trip because I think a seed was planted in her of just how big the world is and how different places are. And it got her thinking about women's rights, which to me is pretty valuable at age 6. And last but not least, the third lesson we have collectively learned as a family on this world tour is this. We are just a tiny speck in this big, big world. Like to visit the tiny little snow monkey town of Utanaka in Japan where no one speaks English. Heck, like here, even in Puglia, in Martina Franca, we've been to restaurants and stores where there's no English signs, no English speakers. All of that is just so humbling. It's just all a beautiful reminder that this world is so big and you're just a tiny piece of a much bigger picture. And to have your perspective broaden like that, I just simply hope that it's made us as a family want to become a better world team player. The older I get, the more I realize maybe this whole journey we call life, it's not so much about you're wrong or right or your way's better or worse. Maybe it's just about how are we going to make it work, right? There's so many different beliefs and thoughts and views out there. But like we're all living on this one planet. This is the only place that can support life for us. So how are we going to make it work? How are we going to be a team?
Alrighty then, I'll end this School of Life episode with an Anthony Bourdain quote. Travel is not reward for working. It's education for living.
Thanks for listening, guys. And if you are on YouTube, thank you for watching. I think it's totally worth watching this episode, by the way, because you are looking at truly homes and there are just like stray cats walking. I guess they're not stray cats. They're like barn cats walking right behind me. And you know what you have to do to support this independent creator. Follow, like, leave a comment, all of the above. Signing off from Puglia. Grazie.